that you guys are keeping well, and I know that my face has been a face you haven't seen in a while, and I haven't seen your faces in a while. And I'm sure you guys are missing J-Way, and I'm missing J-Way too. I miss having fun and doing worship and playing with you guys and teaching you guys. And I hope that we'll be able to meet each other soon, and I hope that you enjoy the lesson that we are going to be learning about today. And for the parents, I haven't forgotten the parents. Hello to the parents, and I hope that you find this lesson a blessing to learn with your kids. So you're probably wondering what I'm in and what I've made. And I've made a tent, and I've made it with bed sheets, and I've put some pillows so I feel comfortable and I'm sitting on a pillow. And this tent is relating to what we're going to be learning about today. So if you remember from last time, we learned about the 10 commandments. So what were the 10 commandments? It was 10 instructions that God had given to the Israelites in order to follow God's plan on the way they should live their life. They were given to Moses when he went up onto Mount Sinai, and he came, and they were written on stone tablets, and he came down Mount Sinai to give the 10 commandments to the Israelites. So God called all the people together and told them that God had special things that he wanted them to do. He started to tell them, like he had before, that they must keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember that God created the world in 7 days, and on the seventh day he rested. So just like how God rested on the seventh day, on the Sabbath day, we should also rest on the seventh day. So he said that they must remember the Sabbath day, and they mustn't work at all on that day. And no matter what jobs they had to do, and no matter how much work they had to do, there was no working on that day. They still needed to remember the day, and keep it holy. So because the children of Israel, the Israelites, remember they were in Egypt. So they had escaped from Egypt. They were now going through the desert. They had finished with the Red Sea, finished with the whole Pharaoh saga and everything, and now they were in the desert. And they were in the desert for quite some time. But remember, they were in Egypt for a very long time. You know, generations, children's children, all of them were living there for some time. And they had been seeing the Egyptians worshipping idols. So they didn't think it was weird for people to build up an altar for an idol and worship them. It was normal because they used to see it every day when they used to work for the Egyptians. So the people at that time, the Israelites, seemed to want to worship something that they could see with their own eyes. So the people at the time, the Egyptians, wanted to worship something they could see with their own eyes, something they could touch physically and see with their own eyes. And that's why they didn't really know God like the Israelites did. The Israelites knew and believed in God, even though they couldn't see him. But God was everywhere, and God was with them during that time. And we'll see on in the later weeks how God provided for them during the time they were in the desert. So this is where a plan came into mind, and this is what God told Moses. He wanted to live among the people, to show them that he was physically with them, and that they could see him with their own eyes. And he gave special instructions to Moses to build a tent. So a tent like the one I've made for myself here. And it was a place where he was going to live among the people. And it was going to be called the tabernacle. And it was a very special place. It wasn't the same tent as the tents they were living in. Remember, during that time, they were not living in the houses we live in, you know, like the brick. So remember that the Israelites were not living in the houses that we live in today, you know, with the bricks and the cement between the bricks. They were living in tents. So what's a tent? A tent is those things you put up when you're going camping. I'm sure that you've seen it on TV. And you usually you put it together, and you maybe put it up with your parents, and then you take it down after you've slept in it and you guys are going back home after you've gone camping. So they had to build those kind of tents, the Israelites, as they were traveling through the desert, and they lived in them. So where were they going? They were going to the promised land. Remember that God led them out of Egypt so they could go and live in their own land instead of a land that didn't belong to them. So like the tents that the people lived in, which were to be put up and then taken down, that's how God's house was, the tabernacle. That was going to be a tent that they could put up and put down. It was a big tent. It was probably bigger than most of the tents they were living in. And it had poles on it so that the priests would be able to carry it when they were traveling around when God told them to move. So God told the people that God commanded anyone with a willing heart to bring offerings of gold, silver, and brass for the tabernacle. They could also bring blue, purple, and red cloth and fine linen, goat's hair, ram's skin dyed red, badger skins, and special wood. All of those things with the goat's hair and the ram skin and all of that, they were going to go on top of the tabernacle to cover it, to protect it from rain and wind and all of that, so it wouldn't get destroyed. And the special wood was to build up the walls of the tabernacle. They also had to bring oil for light for the candlestick and spices to burn in the incense, and also onyx stones, which were to decorate what the priests were going to wear, the ones who were working in the tabernacle. God commanded that any of the people who were skilled and had a special talent to make things and to make things so they could build out the tabernacle and to create all the things that God wanted them to make. God told them exactly what they needed to do and where the things should go. It was all specific instructions, and they couldn't decide that they wanted to do their own thing. They had to do what God wanted them to do. A lot of these details are explained in Exodus. So if you are interested, you can go and read for yourself all the specific details, and also you can search on the internet if you want to see pictures. So men and women bought their bracelets, their earrings, their jewelry, their bracelets, earrings, jewelry, and all the gold things that they owned, and all of the things that God told them to bring. There were many people who gave willingly and freely. They knew that all of these things were going to the glory of God, to build his tent so that he could live among them. So they were willingly giving all of these things, knowing that it was going to a good cause. So all of these people then eventually were making all of these things. So the women who spun the fabric and the goat's hair with their hands, they had very good, they were very good with their hands. And every man and woman brought something to offer. There was always something they were able to bring that was going to go to making the tabernacle. So Moses said that God called certain men and filled them with special knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to work with the gold, the silver, the brass, how to cut the stones the right way, carving of the wood, and other artistic works, and how to embroider and weave. All of these things they had to do in order to make furniture that was going to be in the tabernacle, also to make the tent itself, and also to make the clothes that the priests were going to wear. So God gave them all of these gifts so they would be able to make these things, because I'm sure they wouldn't have been able, some of them would have been able to make it on their own, but God gave them these special kind of gifts so they could make things that they've never made before. So eventually the people kept on bringing all of these things, all of these offerings, and eventually there was so much that they didn't even need half of it anymore. So Moses told them to stop bringing because they had more than enough, and they were able to finish the tabernacle. So God told the people, as I said, God told the people the exact length, the width, and the quantities of everything that he wanted the people to bring, and exactly how to make them for the tabernacle. They made the boards, the pins, the sockets, the veils, the cherubims. Cherubims are like the angels. So they were being sewn into the cloth, and the door hangings and the hooks that went into the tabernacle. It probably took a while for them to make it, probably about 5 months to 2 years, because they probably had a lot of things to do. And they had to remember, they had to shape all these things and melt all of the gold and all of that. So it would have taken quite some time. And remember, they only could work 6 days a week, and they would probably not work the whole day as well. They could not go to the store, like going up the street to Pick n Pay to go and buy these things, because they were in the desert. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I don't think there's Pick n Pays in the desert. So God commanded them to make everything for the tabernacle and told them how to do it. So there were specific kinds of furniture that was supposed to be in the tabernacle. So God commanded them to make the Ark of the Covenant, which was like a gold a gold chest, which had the 10 commandments, the ones that were written on stone tablets. They were put inside there, and also a pot of manna, manna was the food that God gave to them while they were in the desert, and also Aaron's stick, his staff, the one that parted the Red Sea, it was also in that. The altars that God wanted that were going to be used for the sacrifices, and the holy clothing that a special tribe, the Levites, were going to wear. The Levites were chosen by God to be the priests who were going to work in the tabernacle. So they were like the pastors, the elders, the deacons, who just did things around the tabernacle, you know, helped prepare the sacrifices, lit the incense, what do you call it? They helped people to be forgiven of their sins, and they made sure that things were in order around the tabernacle. No one else could do it except the Levites. And Aaron was from the tribe of the Levites, just like Moses, but Aaron was chosen as the high priest. So he had a special job. He had to go into the Holy of Holies and meet God there by the Ark of the Covenant. And carry the sins of the people, so God would forgive them. And he would only go inside the Holy of Holies only once a year. So they made the furnishings in the tabernacle, like the candlestick, the table, the lamps, the lava that God wanted. So a lava is like a big basin or a big tub where you wash yourself in. So remember when the lava was outside in the courtyard, which is just a big yard. So remember when the priests, before they went into the tabernacle, they had to wash themselves so they were clean before the Lord. So they had finished off with the sacrifice, so they would wash their hands, wash their feet, and then they would go inside the tabernacle. So inside the tabernacle, it had two separate places, as I said, the Holy of Holies and then the holy place. And then in the holy place, it had the candlestick, the table, and the showbread that was on top of the table. And also it had the altar of incense to burn nice smelling things. And it was a very special place, the Holy of Holies, in which the high priest could go. And that's where the Ark of the Covenant was. So finally, the tabernacle was finished. The Holy of Holies was done, all of the furniture was done, and then God covered, when the Holy of Holies was finished, a cloud covered over the tabernacle, and the glory of God filled the tabernacle. So let's turn to Exodus chapter 40, verse 36 to 38, to see how the Israelites knew that they should travel to the promised land. Remember, when God was in the tabernacle, there would be a cloud above it. But then how would they know when they should leave that place where God was? It says here, then God covered the tabernacle, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could no longer enter the tabernacle because the cloud had settled down over it, and the glory of God filled the tabernacle. Now, whenever the cloud lifted from the tabernacle, the people of Israel would set out on their journey following it. But if the cloud did not rise, they remained where they were until it lifted. The cloud hovered up over the tabernacle during the day, and at night fire glowed inside the tabernacle so the whole family of Israel could see it. This continued throughout all of their journeys. So how did the people know when to leave? When the cloud went up from the tabernacle, children of Israel, moved towards the promised land. So whenever the cloud left the tabernacle, on top of the tabernacle, when it left, it means they had to move camps. So they would pack up everything, pack up all the furniture and all the stuff, all of them, and then carry the stuff, and then follow the cloud of smoke that was going to lead them to the promised land. But if the cloud did not go up, if it stayed on top of the tabernacle, it means that they had to camp there and stay there until God told them to move. So during the day, there was a cloud over the tabernacle, and during the night, there was fire over the tabernacle. This was to show that God was always in the tabernacle, to show that he was physically with them, and they could see that he was with them. So all of the Israelites could see the cloud and the fire throughout the journey through the wilderness. And over the coming weeks, you'll be seeing how their journey is like during when they're in the desert, because they really go through some rough times. I can imagine. So you're probably wondering to yourself, okay, Tina, so what's so cool about this tabernacle thing? You know, I don't understand why you're telling me about this. So because Jesus died on the cross for us, we don't have to build a tabernacle. We don't have to sacrifice all these animals, and we don't have to ask the priests to go on our behalf to pray over our sins when they go inside the tabernacle, because Jesus died on the cross for our sins and he shed his blood. So that's the blood that covers our sins. So when Jesus died, the minute he died, the curtain between the holy place and the Holy of Holies split in half like this. Split in half like this, just like how I ripped this paper. Which means we can approach God anytime and anywhere we want. We don't need to go via someone, and all we just need to do is just pray to God and believe in him that he sent his son to die on the cross for us, and that we are sinners and we want to be forgiven of our sins. And we don't have to do all of these things, you know, the Moses things that they used to do. But they had to do it back then because Jesus hadn't come yet and he hadn't died on the cross. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you enjoyed my tent that I made. And I hope that I will be able to see you guys soon. And stay tuned for the next video that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And just have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye!